The narrative begins with a boy observing a video of individuals getting annoyed at a content creator ruining the manly character that Daxian women have built up over the course of thousands of years. The boy is perplexed by the video and asks himself in which place exactly is he reborn. 2 days have already passed since he arrived in this world, but still can't adapt to the heavy human body and this new world. In this world, prior to arriving here, the person was the emperor of his era and is now reborn into the body of a high school student. He surfed many sites since coming here and is surprised to discover lots of examples of guys getting attacked, which is not typically the case. There are no farmers in this new world and men and women roles have been reversed. Here there is a father who marries a mother, gives birth to a daughter, earns money for the family, and the father maintains the house. The worst thing about it for him is that spiritual power in this world is very low and his soul is corrupted, so it is not easy for him to have his power again. By the Emperor, Demon's training is incredibly strong, and as the two of them fought to break the infinite void, the two lost their bodies and barely managed to stay alive by good luck. It was also a miracle that his soul journeyed to the next world, just in time to obtain a newly deceased body and be reincarnated after tumbling into the chaos of the void. The body he inhabits is that of a boy named Lin Mo, who is a typical rich kid, a student at a top private high school. He is unaware that Noble Demon was also revived, so now he has no other choice but to live his life as Lin Mo and attend high school. High school student Lin Mo's parents were killed in a car accident when he was young, and his grandma is hospitalized due to Alzheimer's disease. Since he was abandoned, his step-aunt took him in, and the entire family stayed on with him. Before the kid even knew what is happening, they took all his belongings. The kid was weak and didn't have anywhere else to go, so he couldn't do otherwise but keep all of it without a word. The emperor puts on the uniform and comes out where the family of the boy is seated at the breakfast table. Aunt Lin Lai tells Lin that his marriage to the girl Yanhui is a grown-up joke. The emperor enters the boy's mind and discovers that Yanhui was the girl his grandmother had betrothed him to, but the girl rejected him, stating that she can't marry someone as fat as him. Lin was devastated by all this and lost concentration while walking across the street and was struck by a truck, leading to his death and the emperor occupying his body. His wedding contract is annulled by his aunt, and at the breakfast table, the emperor angrily instructs them not to arrange a wedding. The emperor is puzzled by Lin's changed behavior as the emperor eats silently, not to starve this human body. At breakfast time, his cousin is chattering about Lin being able to change the school, and the emperor says that he is very happy with the school now and goes on eating, not to waste time chatting with the idiot boy. So they make their way together to the school 1 hour later. But Lin's cousin tells him to wait after he leaves, that he wouldn't want others to see him with Lin. When they get to the school, the emperor enjoys the building, but is troubled when he sees boys exposing their legs and girls chatting above them. He then reminds himself not to look at any of them and concentrate on becoming stronger before Demon Venerable. After searching through Lin's memories, he finds that he was in senior class 2 and goes there. As soon as he enters the room, the girl starts making fun of him by calling him the boyfriend of Yanhui and asking him if he confessed his feelings yet. The emperor is irritated with the foolish manner of mortals and is about to redo. But it is hard for her to just tweak his body without the might of spiritual energies and natural treasures. At that instant, Lin's table companion Yunshu breaks his chain of thoughts by reminding him that Yanhui will never take him at all if he does not slim down, and she can assist him with that. The emperor gets to understand that the girl wants something from the boy and bluntly asks her for this, leaving her stunned. Yunshu advises the emperor that she wants to ask the emperor for a favor, but the emperor refuses even without listening to what it is. The girl invites Lin to listen to her and informs him that he can just play with her, and that one day she will find him a prettier girl than Yanhui. She informs him that she is going to bring him to Waju Mountain to experience the magical night scenery of summer, because he would never be able to climb to the top if he goes there alone. The emperor is fascinated as he recalls the rumor that the sudden mountain gathers spiritual energy, and this 5 bamboo mountain sits upon one of the tallest hilltops, where there will be vast opportunities for the gathering of spiritual energy. Having realized that this would be a good chance for him to reap the spiritual energy, he volunteers to assist the girl in playing games. Yunshu is glad that he agreed and tells him that she already had a pre-arranged appointment with a Class 3 student, and they could use the computers in the computer club after school. They go on to the school computer club with Yunshu informing Lin that no one will disturb them because she canceled all the activities of the clubs personally. They logged in using their own IDs and start playing the theme action game. While playing the game, the Emperor finds that swords' eternal body cultivation, magical spells, and flying of swords in the immortal world are just like this game design, and that makes him feel there might be real immortals in this world, so he has to be cautious. His years of experience fighting all this time are working for him in the game, as she has decided not to die at the hands of a human, even if it is a game. The Emperor inside Lin's body is playing a lovely game and overcomes the Grand Player. But when Yunshu goes to receive him, she is shocked to find him dripping with sweat. Meanwhile, the Emperor is shocked because he does not believe that one's physical body can be severely ravaged, just because spiritual energy has been employed to enhance it. The female heroine Yutang playing against Lin does not accept defeat and keeps pursuing his character, but her game character is stabbed in the knee by the sword hurled by the Emperor character. Her teammate tells her it's over as they lost, and so they should just take it lying down, but Yutang is outraged and orders her to call the players from the other side immediately. When Yunshu gets the call, she happily consents to meet them and then walks away towards Lin, complimenting him on his excellent game. Lin does not say anything to her and then just departs after reminding her not to forget what she had vowed. Then Lin returns home and lies on bed in a hurry, as the Emperor believes that the human body is so weak. The following morning, when Lin is being dropped to school by the car, his cousin goes along with him, mentioning that Yanhui has instructed him to tell his friends that the marriage proposal is a pretended proposal, and now he is having her invited for beta ekitank. Lin simply walks off, mentioning that one need not say what is false, and his cousin remains resentful. The moment he enters class, he is greeted by Yunshu, who, without second thought, informs him that the player they encountered during yesterday's game was Yutang from his school. She informs him that Zuji wishes to see him or Mama Baby, his gaming avatar, and promises him that she will not do anything to a boy. Lin retorts indignantly that he is not a Momo baby, but they cannot continue discussing the matter because they are cut short by Yanhui, who bangs her hand on his table, stating that they have to sort things today because he swears their marriage is not counterfeit. Yunshu cuts in and says Yanhai is overacting, but Yanhai responds to her by asking if she likes Lin. Lin informs Yanhai that even if the news surrounding their wedding is real or not, there is no way between them. Yanhai is taken aback by his response, but informs him never to mention again that he will be marrying her because it makes her sick. She informs him that every time she visited his home, it was not to gaze at him. Lin doesn't mind his talkativeness, but his classmates are astonished that he is so robust. At this point, Yudang appears in their class along with her friends and informs whoever is Momo Baby to get out. Yunsho confronts Lin, who is furious that he is the Emperor, but all individuals are referring to him as Momo Baby due to this human form. Yunshu apologizes to Lin that she only wishes to play a game with him by himself, and he may go first with her and then kill or cut whatever he wants. Yutang is surprised when she sees Lin walking out of class because she had thought the player she was searching for was a girl. When Lin arrives, she inquires if he was the person who overstepped with her yesterday, and upon ensuring that, she instructs him to call her after school since she needs to play a game with him by himself. Lin informs him that he never plays the games, and he will strike her due to luck, and he leaves his class. Yutang passionately inquires her friend if the chubby man does not know who she is, to which she replies he just got dumped, and now he has no love, so is not afraid of her. Yutang leaves after instructing her friend to bring Lin here during noon. When Lin returns to class, all the students ask him why Yutang invited him. He heads towards his place where Yunshu tells him that Yutang was truly impressed with his game yesterday, and therefore if he wants to play a game alone, he can play with her anytime. She then quietly advises him that she will go to the mountain with him, and that she will provide him with girls, but Lin alerts her not to bring anyone with her. Yunshu remembers them together in the mountains automatically, and tells him that she doesn't know people when she is wearing a skirt, and that he shouldn't look at her because she is inferior to Yen Hui, and this annoys the emperor with her attitude. When the class ended, Yutang's friend to come to their class to fetch Lin, but was shocked that he had already left class. The emperor in Lin's body returns to the cafeteria after school and eats his lunch as takeaway rather than staying within where all the people make comments regarding Lin's chubby physique. Since he is not yet familiar with mortals' noisy life, he exits the cafeteria and proceeds towards a serene corner to eat lunch. Meanwhile, another student named Zinni's body is possessed by a demon, as she tells the girl that she is affected by a serious illness, and there is no doubt she will die after a year. The demon says that if she wants to live, she must merge with this deity, as they are already destined because of their same names, and she will also make sure to fulfill all her future wishes. As Zinni agrees with her, the demon says that she made the right choice, and from now on 18 years of Zinni's life will be a part of her life too. The demon remarks that it is waste of all the joys and sorrows of her life being a drop in the ocean to her. The demon then considers within herself that she labored for 1,000 years and succeeded in killing the emperor, but was not as happy as she had planned and felt empty instead. The only option for the future is to bring back the demon world, but she fears the emperor has many cards in his hand, so he will not perish, and perhaps he also came to this world, so she has to take care. In spite of all these impediments to her, this world remains intriguing because in the demon world, regardless of how much she struggled, she couldn't gain approval from her father since she was a woman. Men in her world disliked her and wanted to own her until she wore the mask of the evil spirits and murdered them so that they would be scared of her. But men in this world are the weak side and cultivation is not evil. The spiritual power in this world is weak, and also she is too gorgeous to be followed by the boys. She is cut off in her train of thoughts when she notices Lin is behind her and turns around to confront him when he approaches. She is saying to him not to follow her, stating that there is no way between them, but Lin does not utter a word to her and simply walks away. The demon is surprised by this and asks herself why she has to regain her strength as soon as possible and depart from this world. She unknowingly continues to follow Lin, which makes him feel that she is stalking him. When Zinni is aware that Lin is heading towards the rooftop, she alters her plan to go there and instead looks for some other location. She leaves when she believes that normal students don't go to the rooftop, and as the individuals are weak in this world, Lin can also go there to commit suicide. She decides to turn a blind eye at first, but later through the memories of Zinni, she learns that her friend has also committed suicide and queries the actual owner whether she wishes to save the guy. She removes the moment she receives her positive answer, dashing to where Lin is leaning on the railing, just basking in the cooled breeze. She attempts first to use her abilities to push him off, but recalling that she no longer had abilities, she dashes and pushes him off the railing. Lin lands on her, nearly squishing her ribs in the process with his mask. He sternly demands what she is doing, to which Zinni responds saying that she wanted to simply inquire what he is going to do, and if he has a mind to go somewhere private, then he should not make any disturbance. The emperor is dismayed that he is so low that she had the impression he was attempting to suicide, and then invites her onto his hand, informing her that she is so imaginative since he is only enjoying fresh air and isn't attempting to fall off the building. He then remarks that he does not care for her too, which irks her, and she asks him to leave. When he returns to the class, Yunshu inquires from him where he has gone missing to, because Yutang and others were searching for him because they instructed him to stay behind at the school. Lin is angry at all of this and tells her that she developed this issue, so now she has to solve it on her own. She tells her that she will go along with him tonight after school, and he can play with Yutang since yesterday. She didn't have sufficient FN. And if he allowed her to kill him during the game, she would leave him alone, but Lin tells her that he isn't going. Yunshu tells that they can't deceive Yutang, because she is the older young woman of Yu clan, to which Lin retorts that she had gotten him into trouble. Yunshu explains that she never anticipated him to be strong, and implores him to accompany her, saying that she will do whatever he wants for him in exchange. And he at last agrees with her proposal of barbecue, reminding her once again not to forget Wazhu Mountain. As he leaves the classroom, Lin reflects on how he could have cracked that girl's ribs and then assumes it is all right. The Emperor is assuming that he remembered that the body of mortals over here is fragile, and the girl's ribs would have been fractured, but is perplexed when there were no ambulances, assuming that perhaps she fainted on the rooftop. He imagines himself being arrested by the police if something had happened to that girl, assuming that mortals' lives are actually precious in this world. After thinking this, he decides that needs to check on the girl and runs toward the rooftop. Meanwhile, the demon in Zinni's body is frustrated by the weakness of the mortal body because she couldn't move after getting the injury and is still lying on the rooftop. She is cold as it is windy up there and calls for help because her phone battery is also dead. The demon is so embarrassed that she needed to weep for help like that because she says that she is invincible in the world and only the Emperor would be able to kill her. But she was quite literally dropped out of the hands of a fat man. Lin just shows up there again, surprising her because she is wondering why is he there again. He sits down next to her quietly and feels her ribs and concludes that they indeed are broken. He doesn't even bother to look at an angry Zinni and tells her she is really fragile, which resulted in the accident and has to work out. Zinni is insulted at what she has been told and informs him that she works out more than him, who is so fat that he broke her ribs. He once again shoos her away, removes his only jacket, and wraps it around her shoulders, informing her that it is really windy up here, and she must be careful because she is a woman. Lin then informs her that the problem began because of her misunderstanding, so he will get an ambulance to take her, and they will not owe each other afterwards. When Zinni asks him to return his jacket, Lin insists that he is aware she doesn't like the way he dresses because he's overweight. But she can take it because her body is weak, and she can get rid of it after the ambulance will come for her. The demon to herself, being a god, she should not hate any human shape, and the fat boy is pleasant, though she hated that in her head. Later, the ambulance arrives to take her away and Lin goes home. The instant he gets to the house, his cousin holds him back and inquires why Yutang was seeking him in school. Lin keeps his cool as his cousin goes on taunting him to speak the truth and telling him that no one is going to do anything with a fat man like him, and that he had better not pamper Yutang and get the family into trouble. When Lin begins to head off, his cousin yells that he will have his mother send Lin away from the house, but Lin turns around and angrily retorts that this is home too. His words infuriate his cousin, and he goes ahead to slap Lin. But he couldn't because Lin slapped his hand, as the Emperor is amazed at how a human being can attempt to slap him. Lin then pushes his cousin away, who begins to cry and calls his dad, blaming Lin for bullying him. The boy comes and also attempts to slap him, but Lin once again takes his hand and asks them to stop playing with him. The son and the father are alarmed at Lin's actions and place a call asking his aunt to come and assist them, complaining that they have been beaten up by Lin. When she is with them, she tells Lin that whatever he has done to his elders, it is his fault, and therefore he must apologize. Lin gets upset because his aunt is the first person who is asking an emperor to apologize, and lets her know that he will never apologize for something he did not do. His aunt threatens to cut his holiday spending allowance if he didn't apologize, but he is not intimidated by threats and simply goes to his room. When he enters the room, the emperor realizes that he must make some money, and thus decides to sell some of Lin's clothes over the internet, but is irritated with the attitude of customers there. He gets irritated that a hero such as himself is kept back by finances and sets out to get some exercise to regain some of his drained spiritual energy, but finds himself very exhausted after only 3 minutes. He is then called by Yunsho, who informs him that his cousin and Yanhui will be joining him and the rest of the group for the trip, and reminds him that he will be traveling with him alone one day. but the emperor says that he will be joining them on the trip the next day, not desiring himself bothered with human issues. The following morning, when Lin emerges from his room for breakfast, his cousin Zixuan once again begins teasing him and inquires as to why he woke up early, and did Yanhai invite him too, but Lin does not speak. Before long, the bus arrives to take them for the hike, and Zixuan hurries out, where Yanhai is already waiting outside for him by the bus. He instructs Yanhai to hurry, and when they are already on the bus, he instructs Yanhai that he is afraid because Lin vented his anger on him last night, knocked him down, and even fought with his father. Yanhai instructs them not to bring Lin to the mountain then because of how he has been behaving, but Yunshu instructs them that she already invited him. They begin taunting Lin, telling him that if he could even make it to the top of the mountain, but Yunsho interrupts them, and they must obey because she planned this trip. Lin then appears on the bus and is immediately halted by Yanhai, who tells him why he bullied Zixuan. Yunshu promptly comes to his rescue, stating it was a case of misunderstanding, and invites him to take the seat in front of him. The bus begins to move because the emperor does not desire to be let down once more. The emperor notices a bike rushing rapidly beside the bus, and it comes to a sudden halt in front of the bus. They are all surprised to observe that the biker is their schoolmate Yutang, whereas Yunshu is upset that the girl is pursuing Lin just because she had lost a game. Yunsho swiftly rushed to ask Yutang why she was there, to which Yutang replied that she wanted to find Lin, and immediately after seeing him, cracked a joke about his being fat, to which everyone else laughed. She then commands Lin to escort him to an internet cafe, and not to the mountain, and she will allow him to meet Yanhai, but Lin just instructs her to leave him alone. Yutang is furious at this, and lowers herself to ask him if he would ever fight with her or not. The face of the emperor is shocked when he realizes that the amulet on Yutang has spiritual energy, and although weak, it must have been from the hand of a cultivator. But it can't be demon venerable since the technique of refining is extremely crude. When Yutang again inquires of him if he will play with her or not, Lin answers that he will be with her after ascending the mountain, hiding the expectation of encountering the practitioners of this world from her. Yunshu invites Yutang to accompany them in ascending the mountain, which she agrees, and sits beside Lin. When she is sitting down, she inquires of Lin if he has a mobile and asks him to play a game with her. Lin will play with her, but she tells her that she will have to promise him something in case he won. They begin playing the game after they agreed on their terms, while the others resentful of Lin because Yutang is playing only with him. The game is nearly over when Lin again beats her so easily and instructs her to send him $10,000 as it was his turn. She consoles him that it is okay, and she can even send him more money in the future if he is to be her practice partner. But he does not agree and just tells her to send him money urgently. Yutang sends him the money and informs him not to pick up the phone if she had called him, or not to call her, or give out her number to anyone else, when Lin is convinced that he is not even half as proud of the girl. Yutang then stands up from the chair after saying that there is hardly enough space here, goes to the front, and instructs Yanhai to sit with Lin. Yanhai believes that she must fight Yutang, but does not want to incur her wrath. She is rescued by Zixuan because he instructs her to sit with Lin for having said that he had something to say to her. She leaves thinking that she must inform him that the marriage contract is their grandparents' joke, and Zixuan is glad to have a chance to sit beside Yutang. He attempts to initiate conversation by inquiring about the games, but Yutang curtly tells him to shut up. The bus at last arrives at the destination, and all the students are surprised to see that the mountain is so tall and wonder if they would ever climb it. The boys are terrified of missing the climb and turn to the girls for assistance, who vow to even carry them when exhausted. Yunshu is the most thrilled and asks all of them to accompany her, so that they will not be left behind. Half an hour of climbing, and several of the boys begin to complain of fatigue, and Lin finds it incredible that even they are not as strong as he. Lin begins walking again with the thought that if he recovered strength, he would destroy them here for centuries. Yunshu watches him climbing alone and fearing that nobody cares for him, but she does not want to climb after him because she is the center of attention. Another 20 minutes elapse, and Lin is having a hard time climbing and annoyed at the fact that these men are full of themselves but in reality, they are all so athletic. Yunsho feels responsible on his behalf, since he was the one who led him into this situation, and then goes to assist him. But he refuses and tells her to keep going and climb her way, because he can just continue on. The emperor believes that this exhaustion is nothing in comparison to the test and tribulation that he had to endure, so that he could become emperor, and that the mortals are not even able to think about that. Yunshu continues on after instructing him to wait for her in case he is no longer able to climb. Lin continues to walk, shocking everyone when he reaches the 2/3 mark. Eventually, he meets Yunshu and the other girls again, who tell him that they are going back there and have to eat in one restaurant. But Lin is not going to accompany them, telling them he wants to take a glimpse of it from the top. Yunshu is concerned about him and does not want to let him go there alone. But the other girls pull her away, saying that she should just let him do what he wants. Climbing for another half hour, and Lin finds himself at the summit of the mountain, surprising Yutang, who had sat there drinking. The emperor is content after reaching the peak, since it has plenty of energy. Although to him it is minimal, but he can at least continue training. He places a blue stone in his hand, and to himself takes that he defeated the demon lord. And as long as he continues training, no matter how long it takes, he is sure that he will once again be on top. He is surprised by Yutang, who asks him what he is doing, to which he just replies that he is gazing at the view. Yutang tells him that she would let him go today, but tomorrow and onwards he would be her partner, and exits, giving him a remaining sandwich. Lin eats the sandwich undisturbed, as he was used to eating the carcass of the beast for training in his world, and begins to clean the marrow. As all of them are going away, Lin calls Yushu and informs her that this is a good place, and he would be remaining here for a few more days during the holidays, and then calls his aunt and informs the same. Then he takes a room in a hotel for the next 2 months and exercises and climbs the mountain daily for all these days. 2 months later, Yushu receives a call from Lin requesting her to come and pick him up from the hotel, to which she happily agrees, eager to finally meet him since she had been teased about him by Yutang. Meanwhile, Lin, after 2 months of hard training, has turned into a handsome young man from a chubby little boy. But in his opinion, his spiritual power is not good enough yet, so he must still be an ordinary high school student. Yushu arrives in his hotel room to fetch him, and is shocked by the new Lin and believes she must have opened the wrong door. She apologetically flees from her error, but is visibly smitten with the good-looking guy standing before her. She begins to exit when she is halted by when Lin yells after her and informs her she wasn't mistaken. She is still not realizing that he is Lin, and she asks him if he is a friend of Lin, to which he tells her that he is Lin. But Yunshu is still assuming him to be joking with her. Lin gets angry at her shocked behavior and replies that it is no issue, as he had just shed the weight, and then walks away from the hotel. By his cold attitude, Yunsho comes to a realization later on that he is Lin, and recalls that she had informed him that even fat individuals possess a hidden potential, but never believed it would be so. Yunshu feels relieved that she never used to bully Lin when he was fat, since as an indication that they are close now. She is not slow to catch up with him, even volunteering to bear his bad for him, and even runs to open the car door for him. Inside the car, she informs him that he really does look good after all the weight loss, and tells him that Yanhui can now come back to him, but he should not mind her or any women like her, as they will only stare at him because of his body. Lin just directs her to close up, wishing she hadn't tagged along with him for the ascent, but still harboring hopes she is number 1 on Lin's list. She invites him out with her to dinner, but Lin informs her he just needs to head home. When Lin enters the house, his family believes that he is another individual and asks him how he gets in. And if he informs them that he is Lin, then they believe that he is another individual who is pretending to be Lin. His aunt queries whether he can get plastic surgery, to which Lin explains that he cannot do it because she has all the money, then questions her whether he still has money to cover for the semester, to which she says she will pay for his school. But if he is disobedient to his and uncle once again, his allowance will be turned off immediately. Second day at school, nobody knows Lin, assuming him to be a transfer student, but all the ladies are impressed with his looks. Lin doesn't like so much of attention being focused on him, and just when he is thinking it must be because of that magic aura, Yutang appears in his class while pulling Yunshu along by her collar, furiously asking her where Lin is. Yunshu then recognizes him, telling him that he is Lin and had lost weight, but Yutang believes that she is deceiving him. Lin then ceases to tell him that he is Lin and tells Yutang that she can practice with him if she wishes and requests her to see him after class. Yutang is not yet ready to believe that he is Lin, even when Yunshu says that he lost weight climbing the mountain daily. Yutang once more questions him if indeed he is the fat man, and she is correct when he suddenly exclaimed that she should not refer to him as fat, being actually very Lin. She tells him she does not mind if he is thin or fat, but he must remain after class today. Yunshu admit that the guy she called the other day was simply some guy. She asked to pretend to be Lin so that she won't see Yutang. After listening to her story, Yutang is amazed by her bravery and departs, saying that she is the bravest person she has ever known, and departs. When Yutang departs, the entire girls' class gathers around Yunshu, inquiring with her various questions regarding Lin and complimenting his looks. They are interrupted by the teacher entering the class, who commands them to sit down. The teacher also is surprised to see Lin in his new appearance, but soon overcomes it, and then queries the class if they would like to switch seats. All the girls all rush to ask to sit beside Lin, as Yunshu asserts her right to do so. They shut up after punishment by the teacher, who also reseats herself on her own, and had Chubby Boy sit beside Lin, much to his joy that he is finally provided with a quiet seatmate. Later, the girls once more obstruct Lin's path, trying to get him to spend some time with them in one way or another. But he interrupts them suddenly, telling them they should let him pass, and exits the class. The girl still fangirls over him despite the fact that he leaves his cousin angry with all the attention he is receiving. He receives all the attention even during lunch hour when Yunshu is seeking ways to impress him. He is ambushed by Yanhai after lunch, who apologizes for her past actions, stating that she had only been shocked by the surprise wedding news, but he pays her no mind and departs from there. Lin is strolling on the ground, hoping that there is no one on the rooftop, when he sees Zinni walking in the same direction. Not wanting her to reach the rooftop first, he begins to run as fast as he can, even though he knows it is a little childish, but he does not want to lose to her. Zinni sees him running towards her and thinks that he resembles that chubby man. When he walks past her, she is relieved that he was not walking in her direction, but soon realizes that he is going to the rooftop as well. Zinni also begins walking quickly, not wanting to be overtaken by Lin to the rooftop. When he sees her overtaking him, he also begins walking quickly, not wanting her to pass him by. Both of their competitiveness is laid bare as both of them see the other individual running alongside her. They begin running up the stairs and trip over one another over and over, but nobody wants to quit since they don't want to lose to the other human individual. They get to the rooftop after running up the stairs, sending messages, and getting stuck at the door. With a push, Lin comes out first and occupies the rooftop, declaring now his territory. Zinni accuses him of touching her breast, but he slaps her again and tells her that he is the one who attempted to push him using her breast. The emperor recalls that men are weak in this world and defends his action of slapping the girl. When Zinni still does not leave and keeps accusing him, Lin tells her that he will call the police. Zinni wishes to take revenge from him, but recalls that women dominate this world, and if she spoke against him, nobody will pay any heed to her words. She tells him that she will leave him now, but the next time she would be the one who wins the race and goes away. He is relieved after she has left and decides to learn the update of the news headline he had been tracking this morning. He is stunned to hear news that thousands of chickens in a chicken farm, suspected of carrying the virus, overnight have transformed into dry bodies. He recalls that the world's mightiest demon sword is owned by the old demon, and that any monster who lays hands on it will be devoured to the bone. The image of the dead hen appears to be the work of a hellish sword, but eventually fight. The veteran devil finally destroyed the sword, breaking the void, and his sword also detonated to save his master. And then he entered into this world. He is considering the possibility that the old demon did not die and recalls how she murdered him to show her strength. But he was made immortal by finding out how to access heaven. But she, on the other hand, has to kill in order to become powerful again. He decides not to wait when the old demon grows more powerful and determines to visit the chicken farm and find out what transpired. Once school is over, Yunshu proposes accompanying him to meet up with Yutang, but he tells her that he is not heading there. She is quick to volunteer taking his place and is eager for his to accept, and is later rewarded with his gratitude. Lin is stepping into the cab to take a ride to the chicken farm on the outskirts of the city, because he intends to murder the demon if she is responsible for this torture, even if his soul becomes tarnished in the bargain. The moment he exits the taxi in a relatively secluded location, he finds that although he has left a lot of energy in his spirit, today he cannot manage without it. After calling forth his energy, he discovers that the house in front of him is filled with the demon energy that makes him deduce venerable demon has lived. Then Yutang appears there on her bicycle and inquires of him what he is doing there, because she arrived after getting a glimpse of him from afar. Lin is perplexed by her sudden appearance, believing that it cannot be a coincidence for both of them to be somewhere in the middle of nowhere. Lin informs her that he was in the taxi when he sees the driver attempting to drive him somewhere else, so he got out of the taxi which Yutang responds that he will be cautious now because he is handsome. That can lead women towards him, since young people are trafficked and jailed in the small villages. She then offers him her helmet, instructs him to put it on, and then departs after instructing him to wait for her, and that she would return after giving some orders. Lin feels that despite being human, she is seeking demonic energy, as the path that she is following is where the demonic energy lies, so he chooses to pursue her in silence. Yudang visits the farm where an elderly woman inquires of her who she is searching for. Suddenly, Yutang pulls out her weapon and puts the gun against the woman, stating that the woman must have been very bold not to flee when she saw her. The woman is frightened by the gun and tells Yutang to hide the gun, stating that it is against that law, but Yutang just states that as a cultivator, she is not allowed to say the law. The lady once again talks that she is a mere farmer and attempts to quietly draw out a knife concealed in her wrist, but it is noticed by Yutang, and he shoots at her hand to prevent her. She then draws out her sword and tells the woman to tell the truth, but even so, the woman assures that she is not a wicked cultivator, and she did it the way to her chickens because there is no aura. Yutang responds that now she is rifing chicken, but tomorrow she will not mind rifing human beings as well, and although she is only practicing for a short time, she is doing it so well that her skill is just as good as a 10-year-old monk. The woman then suddenly says that Yutang is correct, and she should have considered it beforehand, but she would like to do even more if she perfected hers. The woman transforms into a monster and alters her appearance, but Yutang is not afraid and dashes to attack her. Lin, having sat in silence, realizes that the demonic aura is just like any demon sword and Yutang's life will be at stake if it's true. Yutang herself is also stunned by the demonic aura and notices that she will be dead if the monster is able to land a hit on her, so decides to use Spirit Sword Talisman on it. The talisman does not harm the monster, and rather Yutang is hit. But before the monster can continue to injure her, Lin comes between them. Yutang is shocked at the sudden move by Lin and instructs him to escape. Lin responds by instructing her to close her eyes and then treats the monster, halting him easily with his psychic energy. The Emperor transforms back into his natural form to battle the monster, because it's difficult for Yutang to accept due to the high amount of psychic energy present. While in Liubai City, Giyan Temple, some students are reading, and then suddenly the bell rings. One student inquires its master why the bell rang, because ringing must happen only when some big thing occurred in the world. The master instantly kneels there and says that the father of Taoism has reincarnated. The emperor returns to his original state on the chicken farm and inquires of the monster where the ancient demon is, but the monster now possesses barely any of his spirits and exists as only a part of a magic sword. The emperor is not concerned and retrieves the soul of the monster and thinks, although perhaps a ploy by venerable demon to test him, but does not matter as the soul would be a valuable treasure to play with its demon aspect removed. He then approaches Yutang, who is enamored with his looks, and casts a forgetful spell that wipes everything out. The emperor returns to Lin's body and examines through the means of Yutang's status and finds that she possesses the spiritual root of highest quality, and the final step of Kai refinement that is genius even among immortals. He understands that Yutang definitely has a specific location where she can cultivate. As in this world where aura is not enough, it will be useless having a high-grade talent. At the very same time, he kills Lin's slow pulsating heart and realizes that he overstrained his remaining soul as well and hopes that he haven't hurt his organs. He then makes up his mind to return, but is prevented from doing so by two women when he is leaving who begins harassing him, but is rescued by Yutang, who just happens to be around and beats the two women. She then reproaches Lin, telling him he should assert himself when he is fleeing from some people like them, and then offers to take him home. They ride her bicycle again and arrive at his place where Yutang inquires if he was afraid when those women taunted him. Lin assures her that he was not afraid and reminds her again not to refer to him as fat. She then recalls standing him up once more and blames him, but Lin turns the tables on her that his family did not approve of him visiting alone, and he waited for her too. But she did not appear, to which Yutang responds sheepishly that she had an emergency. She then proceeds to go back home since she is heard telling someone on the phone that the operation was successful, but the target this time around was very evil. Yutang departs after informing him that she is not in the mood today to listen to more of their encounter, but she keeps a note for future use. Following her departure, Lin is about to sleep in his room, but is interrupted by his cousin and Yanhai, who ask him if he is on the lookout for a girl again. Yanhai attempts to apologize to Zixuan and reports that he is attempting to tell him that Yutang is a playboy, but Lin turns a blind eye to them and simply walks to his room. Inside his room, the emperor is contemplating that he cannot continue using his soul power anymore, or he will be in trouble if he injures his organs, but to his fortune, he has the piece of the magic sword since he can use it to cultivate as long as he cleanses the demonic energy. His reverie is interrupted by the door knocker, and when he opens the door, Yanhai stands there. She tells him that she came over today for him because she understands deep down inside she always loved him and was just being cruel to him because she feels secure with Lin. She apologizes for what she has done and invites him out on a date, but Lin closes the door on her without a word. He once again concentrates on his energy and is anxious since he always felt as if he has achieved the peak of spiritual development and that he is safe from every demon, but never thought that he is so oblivious that a word could disturb his heart and chooses to do the mind workout in order to build up his energy. The following school day, Lin is once again the object of fascination of the girls when they gang together around him to invite him to join them during recess. Yanhai even makes an attempt at approaching him by breaking up with Zixuan, but before she could catch up with him, Yutang summons him. He heads towards Yutang as he sees Zinni heading towards the rooftop, so he dashes ahead to reach first, but fails since when he gets there, she is already having lunch there. She chases him away, saying she arrived earlier today, but Lin denies it, that this is his turf since he won last time. When she refuses to accept that it was his territory, he suggests that they should race again, but Zinni refuses. After arguing for a while, on Zinni's suggestion, they decide to play a game of I Go to determine who is the winner. They begin playing the game and play it until after school, but receive no outcome since they are both equally capable. Lin tells her she can quit because they have progressed this far already, but Zinni will not quit. Zinni captures a picture of the board instead and tells her that tomorrow they will begin from here. As Zinni gets up when she has sat in the same position for hours, she is weak in the legs and collapses onto Lin. He hits her face, stating that she touched him once more, and leaves, stating that he would sue her if she did it again. As he is walking out of the school, he receives a call from Yutang, and as he answers the call, she begins shouting at him. She asks him where he is, and he informs her that he is at the school gate and tells her to come and pick him up. The emperor is shocked that Yutang plays around all day in school, but her cultivation level is still high, so he is going to trail her to understand her secret. Yutang arrives soon and inquires why is he still in school, to which he responds that he slept unintentionally. She tells him that she does not think him, and then informs him that she was searching for him so they might complete. She then gives him back his helmet and takes him to her home. The emperor looks keenly, but can only see computers, nothing that is nurturing. She attempts to tease him by asking him if he can feel safe with her, but he instead punches her in the stomach, catching her off guard. Once she regains consciousness after the strong punch and asks him to play the game with her, determined to beat him today. They play 47 games, and Lin wins all of them. He reminds him that he has to go, and although Yutang promises him that they will play again, he tells him that they will have to do so some other time. He leaves behind in her home a magical talisman paper doll that is able to move freely by itself, and is able to even give Lin a glimpse of the view of the surroundings. At the same time, a photograph of Yutang driving Lin home is going around in their class group, and when Yanhai is exposed to this, she is furious, wishing ill to Yutang. And then out of nowhere suddenly a voice comes forth asking Yanhai if she'd like revenge. Yanhai is surprised at the sound and requests the entity to materialize. But the voice simply states that it doesn't matter that it belongs, and that it is satisfactory that she can make Yanhai have the power to attain what she desires. Yanhai inquires of the voice if she is the woman of books, to which the voice responds by saying that she is the #1 immortal divine sword Jiayu world, which got shattered due to the violent fight with the emperor, and if Yanhai helios her so that she could get cured, she will assist her to become immortalized and live her forever. Yanhai narrates that she wants to practice immortality, appeasing the sword with words, and is instantaneously struck by the blue light emitted by the sword, as the voice instructs her to open up her mind and dissolve with her body. When she is able to speak once more, she inquires of the sword why she can't feel power, to which the voice inquires of her what she desires. Yanhai tells us that she wishes to learn about hypnosis, to which the sword says that it would be fine because she has a talented set called the Dream of the Soul. Lin remains in the taxi, still spying on Yutang, hoping that she will get her secrets, but she only continues to play computer games. After a little practice, Yutang stands up, remembering that she has something great to do today. She walks to change clothes in her room, and on coming back, Lin's talisman clings to her clothes. She then walks to her closet to retrieve spirit tools and talismans, although they are of middle quality but hard to find in this world. She rides on her wedding bike and visits a wedding hall where a couple is wedded. She sits and waits until the wedding is completed, and when the after party will begin, she approaches the couple. Yutang tells the groom Chen Ziyu that his fantasy has come true, and that they should leave now. The groom instantly turns into a fix and Yutang rapidly kills him. He apologizes to her upon his final breathing, and then softly apologizes to his wife, instructing her to allow Yutang assist her, since she appears to be a just person. The bride is weeping in despair and accusing Yutang, who informs her that the man she was to marry was a fox with the peculiarity of draining women's energy and marrying them. All his victims have ended up badly. She says she is doing her work, and then sends a talisman to the bride and makes her forget everything. Yutang subsequently departs after informing someone on the line that it is over, and Lin's talisman breaks loose from her clothes and finds its way to the dead body, since a shape-shifting fox is a good utilization of the emperor. Lin casts a soul reincarnation spell on the paper doll, and Chen Ziyu's soul is cast into the paper doll. Lin receives his paper doll within 20 minutes, while Ziyu's soul is descending into oblivion. believing that this is the end of him. But he is glad that he has managed to get his revenge, even though he can no longer be with Ayu. He then hears someone tell him that do he want to die or keep on living. He believes that he don't want to die because he still have so many things to tell Linyu. Therefore, whatever it takes, he wants to live. The emperor appreciates him for his deed and tells that Ziyu will serve him for 10 years, and then he will provide a new life to Ziyu. When he is brought back to life as a miniature paper doll, he is shocked at this amazing magic since he never knew anything about it and bows to Lin to thank him for being given life. He then requests him to tell him all that he knows concerning the cultivation world. He does this instantly by beginning with the mode of cultivation. Ziyu describes that as there is no spiritual energy in this world, cultivators will have to visit secret worlds if they wish to practice. But there are not so many secret worlds, and they are tightly controlled by clans and relatives. Thus, even if common practitioners are in an all, if they do not have relationships, they will not acquire a lot of resources. The practitioners are accepted by the clans, but they train them like ovens and eventually kill them by the best cultivators and exhaust them before discarding them with no further assets to cultivate. Lin cuts him short by inquiring if that is how he ended up an evil cultivator, to which Zhu acquiesces and replies that most cultivators are driven to take risks and resort to evil cultivation because they lack resources. Yet the cultivation community always killed all the evil cultivators. Lin inquires whether Yutang from the Phoenix clan is present, and to that, Ziyu responds that not only is Yutang the Phoenix group's most skilled young generation, but she is also a member of the Zhao family, one of the three great families. Lin again inquires if a world like that exists as the immortals or an individual who have become immortal, but Ziyu informs him that he have never heard of a person like that. Ziyu then invites Lin to meet his loved ones and Lin replies that he can meet them with the spare time, but he have to be careful not to expose Lin or himself. The following day Lin is at school, and Ziyu is in his backpack. Ziyu is shocked that his master is a high school student and is extremely popular with girls. When Lin is about to sit down beside his desk, he sees that there are plenty of snacks in it. Initially, he believes that perhaps they have been brought by Yunshu, but later finds out that Yanhai brought them. When she attempts to flirt with him again, Zixuan cuts her short and asks her why she is doing this, to which she answers that she has every right to do so because Lin is her fiancé. They quarrel and Zixuan exits from there while Lin walks to his seat in silence. Yanhai looks at Lin and instructs him to call her if he gets bullied during the boys in case the class talks about how nasty of a person Yanhai is and gives a rumor within the group that she is trying to steal Yutang's man. When Yutang discovers this at recess time, she does not object at first, but when Yanhain taunts her when she walks past her, she is furious. When the girls chat among themselves about Lin, he quietly proceeds to the roof where Zinni is also waiting for him. The board game laid out. As Lin begins eating his food without care, Zinni advises him not to eat much since he will get fat. She then suddenly remembers the fat man whom she had met at the rooftop and inquires from Lin if he knows the individual, but Lin tells her that he don't know such a person. At that time she reads a post about Lin in the class group and looks at his new and old photos. She then points out to him an old photo of him, once more inquiring if he recognizes that person. Lin still denies she knows that guy, which angers her, but she knows he don't want to discuss his past self and assures him that she is just searching for him so she can win this game. She then returns the Jackie to him, although it might no longer fit him, and stands up saying that they should call this game even. When she walks off after they decide to discontinue the game, Ziyu emerges from his pocket declaring that he is so strong because all the girls are after him. Rather than responding to his declaration, Lin asks him where he usually gets the materials for his wicked cultivation, to which Ziyu informs him that they obtain them from the Dark Door's web. He explains that the cultivation resources belong to the various families, but as long as there are administrators, it's unavoidable that there is selfishness. The evil clan existed a very long time and was never wiped out. It has everything not only for evil practitioners, but also for members of many families, as long as they are wealthy. Lin inquires of him how they earn money, to which Xiu says they need to perform assassinated tasks. But the simplest way to earn money is if he can get a rich woman to date. But Lin doesn't pay attention to his worthless advice and places him back into his pocket. The Emperor will be returning home and investigate whether or not there are things utilized to create charms for the spirits. As the Emperor is departing from the school, Yutang is already waiting for him and makes him ride with her on the bicycle, which provokes Yanhai, who had been observing them. Yutang attempts to shove him further forward, but when she accuses him of being emotionally attached to her, she breaks the bike suddenly and let him go, saying that she speaks with him because she lost the game. Lin departs after instructing her not to think of him in another manner, and secretly placing another paper doll on her clothes as well. When they arrive home, Xiu immediately browses the dark room net for Lin, where he finds out that even the immortal world's lowest rank spirit weapons are auctioned here at an extremely low price. The most essential things the Emperor requires are Spirit Stein, Nad 100-year-old Spirit Ginseng, which goes for $1 million at the lowest price. He requests Xiu to lend him money and receives $30,000 from him as loan. With the money, he purchases the spiritual materials to create some spirit talismans. They receive the delivery the following morning and returns home, where Lin goes to prepare the talisman, while Xiu is concerned that he would not be able to do so without practice. Xiu is surprised as Lin manages to make the talisman on the first try, when Lin is anxious because he have only 2 spiritual power that can make talisman, and he needs to purchase more spiritual stones. He puts the talisman up for sale by auction on the dark room, and are surprised when prices begin to climb nearly right away. Xiu informs him that the talismans have always been the best-selling products ever, while Lin is listening in secretly on Yutang by making use of his paper doll. Yutang is also surfing the dark web when she deliberates her next mission to inquire about the kidnapped teenager. She sees the talisman on the website and instantly puts a spiritual stone as an offer. Lin discovers that she gave him a spiritual stone and is happy, as it might come in handy with him questioning whether the missing teenager is something which the wise demon does. The following day at school, the students who have been hypnotized by Yanhai attempts to bully Lin as she waits in the corner to save him and play hero. But her quest is incomplete when Zinni arrives first and saves Lin, even though he had already defeated the boys. Yanhai keeps attempting to go there, but Lin doesn't pay attention to her, and when she attempts to hypnotize him, it doesn't work, while the sword tells her not to cast spells today, informing her that she has a bad feeling about this. Lin returns home and opens the dark room, where his talisman is offered for sale in 2 spiritual stones and 300.000 in yen, and discovers through the paper doll that the purchaser of the talisman was Yutang. But he suspects it to be a trap since she is the member of the Phoenix group. He turns to Xiu and requests him that he told him Yutang is the Phoenix group member. But it isn't a lie, they are incompatible with this sort of secret group, which thrives on money. Xiu's response is that it is not if it is a trap or not, since Phoenix group has cleaned up the dark room on some occasions, and thus if they were to act, they would act in public. He proceeds to exchange the goods at an actual address, shielding his identity. The following day home from school, he estimates after having made commission of 2,000 yuan. There are only 70,000 yuan cash and 2 spiritual stones remaining. Stone quality here is poor, but he is able to restore some spiritual energy to them. Regaining his strength, he crafts 2 additional talisman and tells Xiu to place them on the dark door web. They are surprised when they are bid $3 million for the talisman, while individuals on the internet are talking about how wonderful the talismans are. Yutang is in her bedroom and puts the higher bid for the talismans once again. Lin starts getting invitations from people to visit them, so he concludes that it is time for him to lay low for a while, thinking that the world of cultivation will find him. He then pays Yutang a visit and finds that she is still on the case of the missing youths. The following day during lunch, Lin is distracted as he plays board games with Zinni, so that she insists they might continue this on another day, as she did not want to seize the opportunity at someone else's expense. Lin then sits on the wall as he loves the cold air and Zinnia reminds him not to fall. He climbs down from the wall later and tries to move away, but he is apprehended by Yonhai, who has been observing all of them.